Ash over Briarvale. For as long as Briarvale had drawn breath, the dragons of the western hills had owned its sky. They came at dusk, black silhouettes against burning gold, wings wide enough to swallow the sun, their passage scattering embers that drifted like dying stars across the valley. The villagers would shutter windows and gather children indoors, muttering old prayers to forgotten saints. By morning, there would be scorched fields, smoking fences, sometimes a carcass reduced to char and bone. The dragons did not roar, they did not descend to speak. They simply circled, and Briarvale endured. It changed in the 3rd month of harvest. Old Mathis found the first away at dawn, frozen mid-step in the pasture, not burned, not torn, stone. The animal stood perfectly preserved, wool rendered in grey marble curls, eyes blank and sightless. Even the grass around its hooves had hardened into brittle mineral blades. Within a week, 3 more livestock had transformed the same way. No scorch marks, no ash, only stones. They're refining their fire. Someone whispered in the tavern, practicing, preparing. Arlen Maeve did not believe in rumors. As Briarvale's healer, he believed in symptoms, and this was a new one. He walked the fields alone, running careful fingers along the petrified yews flank. The surface was smooth but faintly warm. A thin lattice of crystalline veins shimmered beneath the stone skin like trapped lightning. This was not random. This was deliberate, and it was escalating. When the first cow turned to stone within sight of the village square, panic took root. Children cried. Men sharpened blades that would shatter against dragon scales. The mayor sent a messenger toward the capital. No one volunteered to climb the western hills. Arlen did. The hills were steeper than they appeared from the valley, their slopes scarred with blackened stone and ancient gouges. Ash dusted the grass in fine grey drifts, soft as snowfall. The air smelled faintly metallic, like blood left too long in iron. By twilight, he reached the ridge. The dragons were already there, 3 of them, vast and terrible. Their scales shimmered like darkened copper, eyes molten gold, wings half-folded against their colossal bodies. They did not circle. They stood in formation around a wide scar in the mountain's side, waiting. Arlen's heart hammered against his ribs, but he forced himself forward. He had expected fire or death, or at least a warning roar. Instead, one dragon lowered its head, its eye fixed on him, not with hunger, but calculation. "You walk toward flame," a voice said, reverberating not in his ears, but inside his skull. Deep, layered, ancient. Arlen staggered, but did not fall. "You're killing our herds." A pause. "Then we are preserving." The ground trembled. The scar in the mountain widened, stone grinding against stones. Heat rolled outward in waves, not sharp and violent like wildfire, but steady, pressurized. The dragons shifted, wings rising slightly as if bracing. Arlen stepped closer and saw what they guarded. Eggs, dozens of them, embedded in the rock face. Enormous crystalline ovals, taller than houses, translucent and glowing faintly from within. Veins of light pulsed through them in slow rhythm, like distant heartbeats. "They're hatching," Arlen whispered. "No," said the voice. "They are anchors." Another tremor. From deep within the mountain came a sound like something vast, exhaling. And beneath that, pulse. Arlen's knees buckled as a wave of force radiated outward, rattling bone and blood. He saw visions in that instant, of firestorms swallowing valleys, of skies split open, of something titanic uncoiling beneath the earth. "We fought it once," the dragon said, "before your kind built Briarvale, before your fields had names." "What is it?" Arlen asked. "Consumption." The mountain cracked, not at the eggs, but below them. By a fissure spidered outward, glowing red. Heat surged, but it was wrong. Not flame. Hunger. The air warped as something shifted beneath the crust of the world. A shape vast enough to dwarf the dragons pressed against the thin barrier of rock and crystal. The eggs flared brighter. Arlen realized then that they were not unborn dragons. They were seals, crystalline prisons, humming with magic, holding something down. "The livestock," he breathed. "Stone does not rot," the dragon replied. "Stone endures." The truth fell into place like a blade sliding home. The dragons were not attacking Briarvale. They were stockpiling. The petrified animals would last centuries without decay. Sustenance for a siege that had never ended. "We starved it before," the dragon continued. "We burned its brood. We shattered its spine. But it does not die. It waits." Another fissure tore open. One of the crystalline eggs flickered violently. "Play if it wakes fully," the dragon said. "It will consume soil, water, bone. It feeds on life's warmth. Your valley would be first." Arlen thought of the petrified Away, of the cow in the square, of children playing beneath dragon shadow. "You need more," he said. "Yes." The dragon's gaze bored into him. "You must help us." Arlen returned to Briarvale before dawn. He did not speak of glory or conquest. He spoke of siege. He told them the dragons were not enemies, but wardens, that the stone livestock were rations for a war older than memory, that beneath the hills something was pressing upward. They called him mad, until the ground trembled, until a crack split the western pasture and steam hissed from below, until the sky at dusk glowed not with drifting embers, but with a deep, throbbing red pulse from the mountain's heart. Then they listened. It began with the elderly, then the sick, those who had little time left, volunteers. Arlen devised a way to ease the transformation, herbs to numb pain, prayers whispered not for salvation, but for endurance. The dragons descended carefully, breathing controlled streams of alchemical fire that transmuted flesh to stone without destroying form. No screaming, only stillness. The statues were carried to the hills, added to the growing stockpile. Weeks passed, the fissures widened, the eggs pulsed faster, and then, one night, the mountain ruptured. A colossal limb of blackened chitinous mass tore free from the depths, not scaled like dragonhide, but layered in jagged plates. Beneath its surface, something writhed, a network of veins glowing sickly green. The dragons launched as one. Their roars shook the sky. Fire cascaded downward, not wild but concentrated, driving the creature back. It screamed, not in sound, but in vibration that made Arlen's teeth crack. The crystalline eggs flared white. One shattered. Light exploded outward in a blinding wave that sealed the largest fissure instantly. The mountain stilled. Smoke rose in slow spirals. Silence returned. By dawn, 2 dragons lay broken across the ridge. The remaining one stood guard, wings torn but upright. The fissures had sealed, for now. Arlen climbed the hill once more. The surviving dragon regarded him with dimmed golden eyes. "It sleeps again," it said. "For how long?" Arlen asked. "Long enough for memory to fade." He looked back at Briarvale, fields scarred but standing. Stone statues along the hillsides, shepherds, elders, livestock, all part of a quiet army of preservation. "We will remember," Arlen said. The dragon studied him. "Yes," it replied softly. "You will." It turned its vast head toward the west, where the horizon burned faintly with eternal ember. Above Briarvale, the sky darkened as wings lifted once more. But now, when the dragons circled at dusk, the villagers did not shutter their windows. They watched, and they understood. The embers falling over the valley were not a threat. They were a warning and a promise.